Welcome to this week's edition of the VA Boss Live Show. I am your host, Jason Steyer. Thank you for tuning in today. Before we get started, just a little side note. This broadcast is going across multiple streaming platforms on Facebook, our Veteran Mortgage Advisor group, YouTube, LinkedIn. So hopefully everybody who's out there can see this. Please share it. We're going to have some great information today with my good friend, Michael Fischer, whom I'm excited to actually get to interview for once. Typically, it's the other way around. He's interviewing me. So today we're going to chat with him and kind of walk down the path of the Veteran Mortgage Advisor. Okay, so share this video. Share it with anybody who might see it, real estate agents, loan officers. Share it through your groups. We would greatly appreciate the exposure, as what we are doing here means a lot. Our veterans and our active military need us in ways that most people can't imagine, right? With the biggest debt they're ever going to incur. So I appreciate you guys and tuning in today. So my good friend Fish, we've known each other for a while. We've been through a lot of conversations, good and bad, through our travels in the mortgage business. But the one thing that keeps us connected always is our love of helping our veterans and our active military with their VA home loan benefit. And Fischer is probably one of the best that I've seen in my travels at truly advocating not only for the veterans, but for loan officers to become better at helping veterans, right? Everybody in the world knows that the VA home loan exists. Well, mostly. But not everybody puts all of their time and energy and effort into making sure that people that we don't even work with directly are educated, so our veterans and our military families have a higher level of service. And that is wildly important. So if you're out there, please comment. We will get to you. We'll answer questions as we roll through this. And we will answer any questions that we got. So without further ado, I'm going to bring on my good friend, Michael Fischer. And there he is.
How's it going? Good to see you.
I'm great, man. I appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to spend some time with us, with me, with all the viewers watching, because this is going out across so many platforms that I'm excited about that. I mean, technology is a great thing when it works, right? But I'm excited that you're here. I'm excited for us to get to talk about Veteran Mortgage Advisor, the Veteran Lending Council, and all those things. But where I want to start with this is kind of rewinding the clock a little bit, okay? What I think is extremely important for people to see and for them to know is where this started for you, right? That's because I think that it's easy to see where we are now, but I want them to see what we're doing here and where that comes from. So tell the good folks out there kind of where this vision started for you.
Well, the vision for Veteran Mortgage Advisor for me kind of came down to a mission, having some kind of mission. And I wasn't really inspired much to do VA loans or to do any more than any other loan officer until I started talking to actual veterans that were loan officers and veterans that were clients. And I realized what was going on the streets. And it didn't sit right when I started doing the math and looked at the fact that, a veteran was getting advised, especially like an exempt veteran with no funding fee, to use an FHA loan as compared to a VA loan. And I started doing the math. I mean, at one point I went to college and, crunch numbers like many of us. And I'm like, man, why are we telling veterans to do this? This just doesn't make sense. I didn't really have a vehicle or a model, but at one point, I guess I kind of became Facebook Fish. I fell in love with the concept of social media and the concept of helping others. So I had always liked trying to help those in my industry, trying to help those on my team. For many years, people would come up to me all the time and just ask loan structure questions or marketing questions or what have you. And, when I kind of saw what was going on with the veteran community, it led me to dive a little bit into my story. Like, how did I get to where I was? And some of the reason that I got to where I was, quite frankly, was the opportunities my parents had that the generation before them didn't have.
Right.
And I had never thought about it. But ultimately, and my dad being a Vietnam veteran, he had the GI Bill, he had access to the VA home loan. And he and my mother, I mean, they were basically the first generation in our families to go to college. The first generations not to be farmers or butchers or laborers, if you will.
Right.
And we ended up with probably more more opportunity. Lived in different slightly more affluent communities, different schools, different people that we introduced to, and a lot of that just came from the wealth building that my parents were able to do because of some of the decisions they were able to make. And it didn't all make sense to me until I started crunching numbers. And then after I'd been doing that, I ran across what had been going on at a company that I'm at now, where we were actually on the streets teaching realtors about some of the myths of VA home loans and how to help veterans more. And then it clicked. I said, "Oh man, this is great. This is what needs to happen. Loan officers need to learn more. Realtors need to learn more. Veterans need to learn more. And there's like an education gap. The VA doesn't have an education and training department,
Mm-mm.
and who is out there teaching this?" And the more I asked, the more I found out the answer was really nobody. So I kind of talked to some other loan officers, and I said, let's just try to do some classes. We'll try to do some events. We'll take some of these PowerPoints that we've been using for realtors, and we'll see what happens with the LO community. Well, the first event I did, we had 55 or 60 loan officers, and it was actually not that far away from you. You and I didn't know
Yep.
each other, but we had an event
Yep.
in Dallas. And
Yep.
some of our good friends, our good friend GP Terrio, who works,
Yep.
with many of our friends, was
Yep.
there at their first event. And, we really just started the momentum with realizing how much these loan officers actually did want to be part of the mission. I mean, they wanted to go out and teach as well. They wanted to teach realtors. They wanted to go back and teach their companies. They wanted to, they all wanted to teach on base. That was a little trickier, but
Yeah, for
they
sure.
all wanted to teach. And so that was exciting. It was exciting getting them fired up. But we also realized we had to slow them down a little bit and say, guys, before you teach, you should at least learn a little bit so that, you're not teaching from a position without authority. You have some
Right.
authority in what you're talking about. You have some knowledge. So we kind of encourage them to get comfortable in or uncomfortable, if you will, in a more of a comfortable setting, a small setting. Let's make some videos. Let's do some lunch and learns that are small. Let's talk to our friends, and let's start practicing talking about VA loans, talking about the misperceptions, talking about the stuff you and I talk about all day, every day. What the heck is Tidewater? How would I
Yep.
explain that to a realtor? How would I explain it to a veteran? What is a reconsideration of value? What are minimum property requirements? And it's one thing to read guidelines and to kind of interact with your own team internally, but when you start talking to people outside of the business, that's when you realize, am I really good at teaching this? Can I explain this to somebody that doesn't have as much knowledge as we would inside the industry in a way that makes sense, in a way that actually is helping bring veterans to the closing table either more smoothly or even getting their offers accepted at all?
Yeah.
So that's where the mission started. That's
one of the things that you and I will always share is the fact that both of our fathers are Vietnam veterans, and I think that as we see and we use those examples, as my father didn't use his VA home loan until he was in his 60s. My older brother, who was a combat medic, has never used his. And there's so many of those cases out there. And I think, part of what you said is, getting everybody energized and charged up to go out and do all these things, but also giving them the right tools to do so. But not just a place where they can go read guidelines, but a place where they can see or hear real world live examples of how that's done and come together as a community, right? Getting a community energized and charged up is not an easy thing to do. And also getting them marching in the same direction with the same cause and the same vision. And as someone who is a participant in that, for those of you who don't know, that's, I had a conversation with Fischer years ago about all this before I even started down this path. And it got me energized up and honestly kept me in the mortgage business completely. That was how it affected my life and how we've partnered together, so to speak, in trying to make this mission happen. So as we kind of fast forward to the vision, And now we've got this vision of veteran mortgage advisor and the veteran lending council of what it is, right? Or what do we think it should be? So talk a little bit about that. Talk a little bit about kind of how that structure works and what that entails.
Absolutely. And, Jason, just circling back, I mean, you're sharing your story and mine, even though my parents used the VA loan to build wealth, some of my relatives did not. And, I didn't even realize that until I started doing all this. And next thing I know, I'm talking, to my uncle who lived in a mobile home his whole life. Finally bought his first home last year. I mean, I wish he would have done it 20, 25 years ago, but he's got a few years till he retires. He's got military retirement and all that. And I'm just glad he listened eventually, So,
well, one of the epidemics that we see is that you've got, and this is what gets me fired up about this when you're talking about building wealth and things like that, is we've got all these young service members across all these different service platforms who either get told not to use their VA loan, they get told not to buy because they're not going to be there very long. They get told all these things. So they end up flushing their BAH down the toilet by giving it to a renter or a landlord, or living on base and base housing and giving it right back to the government.
Or 15 years later, like in the case of my uncle, thinking they needed 20% down.
You got nothing.
They need to save for 20 years to buy a house because they can't. And every time they think they get 20, the house prices go up and they just never get there.
And that's the epidemic, in my opinion, is that we have all of these young service members who don't understand it, either because the agent never explains it because they don't know, or they go down a different path because they don't like it, or they just, it's only, I think 18% of eligible veterans have used their VA home loan benefit. 18%. So it's a problem. But I see what we do here, and this is, I'm a little biased, obviously, but I see what we do here as kind of that cure to that epidemic, is that we're trying to provide an educational platform for people to go out and do those things.
And I guess I got us all sidetracked, but I was starting to get emotional when you're talking about all the family stories. And I'm sure a lot of folks watching have those similar stories with people they know. So that kind of leads us to today, where, the mission was a little bit simpler when we first started. It was just, let's take care of Americans' veteran. Let's fulfill President Lincoln's promise. And today, I think we've evolved a little bit, and our mission is more, let's educate as many veterans, realtors, and lenders as we can to help today's veteran learn how to manage debt better, learn how to build wealth, and get the same opportunities in housing as everybody else when they're using their VA home loan benefit.
Agreed.
It's not just let's learn how to do a VA loan or just read the guidelines a couple times. It's, I'm going to have to take resources outside of the VA guidelines or outside of my lending world to actually truly help these veterans at a higher level. And wherever I need to go, I'm going to go there. I mean, I might need to learn more about credit repair. I might need to learn more about what veteran service officers do. I might need to learn more about financial planning and who to connect people with. I might need to learn more about rental markets. And either way, I'm not going to give advice where I'm not licensed or qualified, but I want to make sure I know enough to get the veterans going down the right path so that they are able to build wealth. Their families, generations behind them are able to at least appreciate some of the wealth they've built, hopefully. And more importantly, they're going to learn how to manage their debt properly. In some cases, leverage it or eliminate it by making good decisions. Whether it's let's pay off these 18% credit cards instead of putting 15% down, I'm going to put 5 down. Some of it's not that tricky. And some of the, loan officers or realtors go, well, duh, that seems pretty simple. But I find that in many cases, the conversations we end up having in these loan officer communities are a lot higher level than that. And we actually need to, I guess to use one of the analogies from TV shows, we need to phone a friend. I found that in many cases, we just don't know the answer. I mean, in the last week, I'm pretty sure I've reached out to you with a question. I'm pretty sure you reach out to me with a question. And some of the people that follow us would be like, well, Steyer should know that. Fischer should know that. We don't know everything. There's no way we're going to know everything. And I'm never going to know as much as a loan production officer at a regional loan center. I never claimed to. Never going to know as much about life in the military as somebody who served. But if I do everything I can to educate myself and to build my team, what I do know is that in some way, shape, or form, I've got a better chance of keeping that veteran away from those who may not have ill intentions, but they just aren't as professional and don't know what they're doing and end up leaving the veteran in a bad position financially because of their incompetence, whether it was intentional or not.
Yeah, no, I agree.
And that's the goal there, is to I'm not going to say this guy's got a white hat and this guy's got a black hat or whatever, but I know the people that are coming along in our mission generally are the white hats, and the people that want to do better and that want to raise the level, or raise the bar, if you will, in the lending community, in the real estate community, for how we perceive the VA loan, how we work through the VA loan, and how we explain to each other on a daily basis, this loan is not a benefit, that it's in any way inferior to any other type of financing. In fact, in many cases, it's better because it allows our veterans to build wealth and manage debt.
Yeah. And that, I think, the emotion of it aside, right? Because I'm emotional about all that. And we try to give the data, statistics, and just talk the sense into people when it comes to those things. And I think that's part of, the veteran mortgage advisor community, is that it's a resource for LOs that may not be real heavy into VA loans. They may not live in an area that predominantly deals with VA loans, to find the resources to execute on something that they may not do all the time. And I think that's the key, is that we have to have the educational resources, and not just, hey, I'm going to take a class and be done. That's it. There's a lot of classes out there. There's a lot of things out there that take a class, you're done, and all of a sudden you're an expert.
You got a certificate on your wall, and you're good for life.
Yeah, exactly. So, what we want to try to provide in that is the mentorship that goes along with it, right? A place where they can come to ask the questions, no matter how remedial they think they might be, to help them.
That kind of brings us full circle to, what's going on with Veteran Mortgage Advisor, and why might it be different? And, why would a loan officer want to participate, and why is it important for our realtors? And, I think the simplest answer to all these questions is the concept of community. Today's world and social media, it's a lot easier for us to get together with like-minded people. Whether the platform's good or bad, or whether they're talking about it on Congress today, or whether it shut down yesterday, I try to ignore all those things and focus on the good that comes out of it. The connection with Jason and I may not have ever happened without social media. And the things that we're able to do on social media by building communities where people can go and look for help, where people can find the resources, where they can find the previous videos that we've hosted and recorded, and find the resources at their fingertips, without having to, wait for somebody to get back from vacation, or wait for the VA Regional Loan Center to open, if you will.
Right.
And ultimately, I find that the learning that goes on over time in these communities is way stronger and more thorough than the learning that would go on in any 1 or 2 hour class. Because you're never going to learn it all in a short period of time. And in many cases, you're going to forget, but you will at least have triggered your brain enough to know when you don't know something. And that's the goal. We wanted to build a base level training where loan officers would know enough to not get killed in combat, if you will. I don't want you to step on any IEDs. It's something that our friend Brad Stinson always talks about. What are the IEDs in the mortgage world? How can you blow up? Let's avoid those.
Yes.
So, we're going to teach the loan officers that. We're going to teach the realtors that. But at the end of the day, every single loan is like a special operation. And you may not have all the tools you need. You may not even have the people on your team, but you can find them when you're part of a community that has a mindset of champions, that has a mindset of putting the veterans first, of trying to educate each other. So what we've done different in the Veteran Mortgage Advisor community as compared to previous communities is we're pushing the community a little bit harder to actually finish some basic base level boot camp training, if you will.
Right.
We're encouraging them to actually get some kind of completion certificates before we start telling them buy merchandise or make videos or put yourself out there as an expert. I think in some of the communities that we've done in the past, people would come in and want to be part of it, and they didn't actually do much work, and they only used the community as a crutch for when they got stuck. So I think the movement to push people harder has been facilitated, number one, by better platforms. We've got a better Kajabi training platform. It's very similar to what's going on in the mortgage world with other programs like Barry Habib's program, like some of the guys from the Knowledge Coop. You got a real solid base where people can go through, watch videos, download documents, do tests, the whole 9 yards. When it's more interactive, it's easier to do. And I think some of the old learning setups that we had were just the tech wasn't there and the videos weren't there. So we redid a lot of the things we've done in the past. And that's kind of where we're at right now. We said, hey, let's come up with a mission. Let's build it. Well, step one, we got to get the LOs on board. So we knew that in order to do that, we needed a different direction. We needed a different brand. That's where Mortgage Advisor came in. But before we even started all that, you and I and many others sat down and said, hey, this is cool. We're going to do this, but who's going to do it? What's it going to look like? And I wanted to do it, but I didn't want to do it without my friends. I didn't want to do it without some help, because I had seen how much stronger the community was than any one individual.
Right.
And I said, look, here's the deal. You can call me the leader, the founder, or whatever, but I want you guys to come along with me. Brad, Jason, Alex, a handful of people that are involved in the Veteran Lending Council. And I said, what are we going to call ourselves? So we spent 3 days figuring that out. But ultimately we said, okay, we are going to be the Veteran Lending Council. We're going to create programs. Our first program is going to be for the lending industry. It's going to be called Veteran Mortgage Advisor. And that program is going to have all the tenets of the previous program, but it's going to help us move the needle forward, because we're going to ask people to do more to get certified. We're going to push them harder to the next level. We're going to take the best students that have actually done the work and who truly want to show up and be part of it. We'll eventually ask them to join us on the council. Then at some point, our council will turn around and rebuild all the realtor trainings that we've had over the years. And we're going to make them even better. And we're going to work to help educate and certify the real estate community. From there, we're all going to work together as a team with our realtor partners and our council member friends to educate the veteran community.
Yeah.
But it had to start with a plan. And the plan was, if it's going to go anywhere, it's got to be good. And it's got to be something where people agree as a community. We're not going to be territorial like most loan officers are. We're not going to sit here and worry about whether one person did one deal or another person did another, or what one person's NMLS or funding source looks like. We're going to worry about the participation of those who want to come along on our mission. And those who are going to come along, we're going to ask a lot from them. But in the end, much will be given to them because of the connections that they ultimately make. Right. And I think many times in our industry, the thought process is backwards. What am I going to get out of this? Is there leads? Is there marketing? Is there all that kind of stuff? And I found it might be a little harder to go the other direction and say, guys, I know you want marketing, I know you want leads, but let's go ahead and talk about guidelines instead.
Yeah.
Harder to get people fired up about that.
Well, yeah. And I think part of the cool thing about what we're doing is, we have all of those boring guidelines you're going to find in the handbook, but we can translate those into things that are, easy to see and easy to be a part of if you're going to train the real estate community, because we've all done it, right? We've all had to learn that, and teach classes and do all these things. And we've evolved over the years and how we've gotten. Well, we want to take other people and make them that good. And like you said, the whole part of this, and this is what I want everybody to understand, is the whole goal for this, the ultimate goal is to serve the veteran community. Period. I don't care what channel you work in. I don't care about any of that stuff. I want people who want to serve and make sure that people get this information in their communities, because the numbers don't lie. There's just not enough of it out there. And we have taken that responsibility on us. And I'm okay with that. And I know you are, and that's why we're all here, and Brad and AJ and Steven and Eric and Matthew, because we believe wholeheartedly in what this mission is. So tell, let's talk a little bit about how the people will find us in the Veteran Mortgage Advisor. So that's a key.
Oh, that's a tricky one. And no matter what we do, whether we post on LinkedIn or Facebook or what have you, people always seem to, hey, how do I find information about an event, or how do I find information about pretty much everything? I've been telling people, go ahead and follow the Veteran Lending Council. You can find us on Facebook. Pretty easy to go like that page, follow that page. I've been telling people to opt in, if you will. If you go to the Veteran Lending Council page and you click on the websites that are there, it's going to ask you to opt into our list to get more information about our programs. Enter your email, at least, so you're getting the emails that we're sending out.
Mm-hmm.
And follow us in the Mortgage Loan Officer Network. If you're a mortgage loan officer and you're not in the Mortgage Loan Officer Network, I don't know why, but that's a good place to follow us, because you're going to see us hanging out there. And quite honestly, I'm going to say this, if you're in the Mortgage Loan Officer Network or you're not in the Veteran Mortgage Advisor program, I hope you're not offended, but at the end of the day, if you are, I guess I don't care. My passion for the Mortgage Loan Officer Network started because I realized I need to reach more loan officers with the messages that I started building through these VA programs. And I realized the networks that I was in were too small. So I wanted to build larger networks. And I realized, well, I need to help loan officers with more things than just VA loans, kind of coming full circle to what you talked about earlier. I got to be good at credit repair. I got to be good at CRMs. I got to be good at team building. I got to know some pretty kick-ass mortgage coaches. I got to make friends with people that know bond markets like Barry Habib.
Yep, for sure.
In order for my mission to be bigger, I had to have lots of friends. And so, I started the Mortgage Loan Officer Network. If you go back and look at the original program, you'll see, and it was intentional. You'll see boot camp tags. You'll see dog tags. You see a lot of the things I did originally tied back to the programs we were doing to help and serve veterans. And
Yep.
I loved helping all these loan officers, and whether they don't, they just need to learn about a CRM or learn about a company or what have you, I'm glad that there's some resources and that I've been in some way, shape, or form part of helping them. But my passion is taking the people that are engaging in those communities and helping them find some of the things that we're doing and helping them open to their eyes with how their companies have maybe been working with VA transactions in the past, and in some way, shape, or form, help them either build a business that helps them serve more veterans or just do a better job when they run across a VA transaction. Either way, that's the end goal. So, follow us in the Mortgage Loan Officer Network if you're not following us in the Veteran Mortgage Advisor community, or following the Veteran Lending Council, and you're going to see us popping up and, teaching on there, doing videos just like we're doing here.
Yep.
You'll see us at events too. The more we go out as a group, there's a handful of us in the industry all over the country. I'm just throwing this out there. I didn't clear this with Jason, but I went down to Orlando. I hung out with Scott Groves. I went to his event, and next thing I know, just like Scott always does, he's like, "Hey, Fisher, come on stage." Well, thanks for the prep time, Scott. I don't know what I'm going to talk about.
That's typical.
Yeah, typical. So jump up on stage, tell us about what you guys are doing. So in theory, as we build momentum, it is our goal to be part of many of the other presentations that go on in the industry across different events and platforms and things like that. And we need more than just one person to do that.
Yeah, so I agree. Scott's a big proponent of what we do. Obviously, he's a big fan of that. And I'm a big fan of his and what he does in this coaching group. And we can be fans of each other. That's the great thing about this, right? We're still human beings, and we get to be fans of other people, and we get to celebrate their successes. And I know he'll celebrate ours, and we'll do it for him. And we're having an event in St. Louis, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So hand out those dates for the folks listening.
So St. Louis Union Station Hotel. You can Facebook message Jason or I. I'm going to go ahead and post the event info on pretty much all the places I just told you. We would have the event, but it's actually there as an event on our Veteran Lending Council page. We've got room space for up to 100. I've probably got 40 or 50 signed up already. And what we do at those events is take some of the base level knowledge we've got in the Veteran Mortgage Advisor course, go through it one more time at a high level. Like, for example, Jason, our myth busting class reminds me a lot of that concept that you and I have talked about. Tim Davis mentions you don't always need 72 presentations. You can have one that's your go-to. It's like your fastball pitch. And so we always go through at an event because that's one where it's so important to the realtors and loan officers to know 7 or 8 or 9 different myths and how to work through those on the streets. We always do that. And we have different people teach it in different angles, and we all get better at teaching it as we watch other people do it. But what we've tried to do at the events over the years that we've done is add to the programs that we have by diving into different parts of being a loan officer. Whether it's, this particular event, we've got Tim Davis coming. He's going to talk a little bit about how to build a personal brand, like what you see Jason do with the caricature in the background and VA boss and buying the websites and being known for something. We're going to have a whole panel of loan officers that are going to walk through that with Tim leading it. So that's just one example of something that's not really in our course or our base level training, but we bring to the events. And I got a handful of other industry friends and other leaders that are coming. I'm not going to drop all the names, but might as well go through a couple of them. Like I got Sam Parker from my credit guy, who is specifically working on a veteran scenarios that he runs into in different community property states or with military related bills, perhaps service member activation type of credit questions, or bills from literally institutions that normally work with veterans, and some of the unique challenges that his team sees and how they work through those. So again, an example of something that's not in the 26-7, but we think it's really important for a veteran mortgage advisor to understand these things and how to work with our veterans on solving the challenges. So that's one thing I think it's really cool. I'm looking forward to that. I've got Jody Bruns from the Certified Divorce Lending Association coming. She's going to help us with a presentation on veterans and divorce and what we need to know in different states, what documents are important. What are the most critical components that the loan officers need to know before they phone a friend, if you will. So again, I got a handful of other industry speakers coming, Kai McBride and some other top level LOs. I'm going to have a top level LO panel. You'll see many of us on stage. Alex Jimenez is asking, when does this whole shindig start? He's asking for rhetoric reasons. I sure hope, because we're meeting in the 4th of November at 6:00 for a meet and greet and a few informal conversations. We'll be there all day Friday learning, and then Saturday till noon, 1:32 ish. So Union Station Hotel, there's going to be some booking links. And if you've never been to one of the events that we've done, I don't know what to tell you other than that I think they're really darn cool. And I've yet to have one person come back and tell me that wasn't worth it at all. So,
yeah, well, as a participant in these, over the years, I believe, and I'll say this, that it's not the people that are going to gather together in these places, right? Guys like yourself and AJ and Brad and Steven and some of the other LOs who are not even part of the Veteran Lending Council that are come just because they want to learn and hang out with like-minded people. That's the coolest thing. You get 50, 60, 75 people in one room that all have the same goal in mind, right? And it's more of a granular goal of helping veterans. So we're sharing ideas and things, and that's the beautiful thing about this is that there is no secret. Right?
Well, there is one secret, and it's that I always try to fill the room with people that are smarter than me. So it's not that hard to do, actually. There's so many.
You can see this guy behind me; he's smarter than me, so I can. Right. So we're good.
Right. So yeah, I just lean on my, some of my industry friends and people that are smarter than me in certain areas. And, I found over time that the relationships outlast the presentations and a lot of the things, 100%.
Yeah. And there's going to be so much, intangible things that you're going to learn just from the conversations that you're going to have with the people who are there that you can, whatever you're going to pay, it's cheap compared to the knowledge, as long as you open your ears, that you're going to learn from the people in this room. So it's going to be really good. So if you're out there in LO land, register, go. Trust me, you will not regret it. I promise you. So it's going to be good. So, all right, Fish, well, we are about 30 minutes into this thing, man. I so appreciate your time. I hope for you guys out there listening that we provided some clarity as to what this is, what it can be. And for all those involved, AJ, Brad, everybody, Steven, I appreciate you guys more than you know, because this is not done from just one person. Fish can't do it by himself. We all have to band together to make this happen because the veterans out there in our communities deserve it. They've earned the right to use this benefit. And they've also earned the right for those of us that are in this industry on the lending side and the real estate side to be the absolute best of who we are. And if you're not, maybe you should reevaluate that. So, parting words on your part?
Yeah, I mean, you did a great job closing out what is Veteran Mortgage Advisor. The last thing I want to say is, if you see members of the Veteran Lending Council out teaching classes to realtors or for veterans, that's the next step. That's what we are working on. I mean, we've all done it in the past. We're trying to do it at a higher level and be better at it. And, you will see that. You will see us starting to do more teaching, pulling it under the Veteran Lending Council brand, if you will. And we want to make that our mission starting this fall. That's the next direction. So we had to make sure we had the loan officers on boards. The next step is the real estate agents. So you'll see us diving into that space. You'll see us on the streets. Some of you will come with us. Some of you will learn. But either way, we just hope that we've inspired you. We hope that some of the resources we have in some way, shape, or form help you with the communities that you're in. And let's just all commit to be better. I mean, that's the last thing I got. Let's all just be better than we were yesterday, and let's keep moving forward.
No, I agree, man. Well, I appreciate your time today. I know you're a busy guy. I appreciate everybody who tuned in and listened to this. It's going to be recorded and across all these pages. So if you need to refer to it, you can. But anyway, Fish, thanks, buddy. I appreciate you taking your time out of your day, man. We'll see you soon.
Thank you, buddy. I appreciate you. Talk soon.
All right.